everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Eileen, and in this video I am going to be talking about the Trinity of Pearls, what I consider the Trinity of Pearls. If you're new to my channel, you will come to know that I have a great love affair with pearls, so I'm always rediscovering new pearls. You never get tired of it. You always get so mesmerized by it. Before I carry on, I just wanted to point out my swan brooch in the Egyptian gold, or what some would call Russian gold as well, whichever term that you prefer to call it. When they call it either Egyptian or Russian gold, they are referring to what they call the treatment of matte gold, that is mimicking the old Russian type of a gold, which is much more rustic looking and much more antique looking, instead of the very sharp glinty kind of a gold. And right in the middle of the swan is a freshwater pearl, a huge one, which is sort of like champagne in color. I've kept one for myself because it's so beautiful. I love the filigree of it, and it's so detailed and so elegant and ladylike, and I thought it would go beautifully with this Alençon lace. Even with the mandarin collar, you can see that, and the top bit of it is like a peplum, and then it flares out into a soft A-line to midi length. So this is a very modern and contemporary lace which I got very recently, and I am wearing today my golden South Sea pearls. I have featured these a couple of times in my video, but I'm going to be going into more depth in this video because I want to be showcasing the golden South Sea pearls. I always like to refer them as the Trinity of Pearls. This is just my own perception of what I consider the three top main pearls of the world. Number one being the main one, which is the classic pearls, which Mr. Mikimoto has perfected, and his name is etched in history forever for being the first man who actually cultivated pearls, and not only cultivated pearls which are man-made, but was able to engineer it in such a way that the pearls are coming out more round and more spherical in shape. Whereas before him, divers had to risk their lives and dive into the sea and search for natural seawater pearls, and that weren't usually spherical in size, and it took such a long time just to get one strand of pearls which is almost not only identical in shape but also identical in color. Because as I've said before in my pearl video, and if you've missed that, I'm going to be linking it up above and towards the end of the video. Pearl farmers not only have to ensure that the pearls are same in dimension and in shape, but also in luster as well, because as I've mentioned before, pearls to the naked eye and to those who are not professionals and who are not well versed with pearls will just look at it and think, oh okay, pearls are white in color, but it's not true, because pearls can range from ivory white to pearly pink and all the way to gray, as well as multicolored pearls. So it's always had that allure and myth, and every single girl dreams of owning the perfect strand of pearls. I know I have since I was a little girl. And then when you talk about the black pearl or the caviar of the sea, the undisputed leader in that field is the Tahitian pearl. A lot of people think Tahitian pearl, it must have been engineered and made by a Tahitian, but in fact it was also by a Japanese man, and he is the one who perfected the Tahitian pearl and came up with the black caviar of the seas. And so if you are a jewelry lover, a pearl lover, the black pearl or the Mabe pearl is very much a must-have item in your jewelry collection. So here I have got the black pearl, which I wore as an earring set, and then I've got that wonderful Mabe pearl. So when you're talking about the Mabe pearl, it's actually half of the pearl from the mother of pearl. That's another different term for that kind of pearl. Very difficult to get that thickness, that luster, that nacre. It's really so riveting in its own way. It's like when you're wearing black and you feel very chic wearing it. I found out that they do call it the Queen of Pearls, and no wonder, because when you're talking about the golden South Sea pearl, the undisputed leader is within the South Sea, which is the Philippines and Australia. So the South Sea pearls is very, very special because they have been able to cultivate it in such a way that they are multicolored, and they've got a myriad of colors, but the most famous one of all is the Queen of Pearls, which is the golden South Sea pearls. So this is one example that I'm wearing. My earrings are baroque. So here you can see me also wearing the golden South Sea pearls, which is in a very, very large, almost 13 to 14 millimeters pearl set, or what they call a pearl, which is the standard term that people use for a set of jewelry, which is very, very famous from the 1950s right up to the 1980s, because I still can remember my mom having some pearls, meaning to say it is a set coming in an earring, a pendant, a bracelet, and sometimes ring as well. So it comes in a set. So this golden South Sea pearl is really, really unrivaled and so beautiful, and it's got that 2 pearl drops, which is almost 13 to 14 millimeters wide, and it's very, very lovely in shape, and it looks almost like a marble pearl. And then you have got the pendant also almost 13 to 14 millimeters in diameter, so it's quite a huge size, and it's encircled by that lovely, lovely gold filigree. I am so careful whenever it comes to wearing either gold jewelry or golden South Sea pearls, because some golden South Sea pearls can range right up to the very, very yellowish tone. So I'm very careful with this, because my mom has always had a great collection of gold jewelry as well, because that is the standard for any Asian jewelry. But then she doesn't really like wearing it, and I also emulate her in not wearing it, because we have Asian skin, and as Asian skin we have more of a chroma yellow, whereas Westerners have more of a chroma blue in their skin tone. So that is why we have that kind of a yellowish tone for our skin tone. And that is exactly why I'm very, very wary of gold jewelry or golden South Sea pearls, because some of them can be extremely yellow in color. But I've picked out the golden South Sea pearls very carefully, because they are more champagne in color, so that it has got that tinge of gold, very, very soft sheen of gold tone to it, especially when you're wearing a dress like mine, which is almost champagne to nude in color. Complements the dress beautifully. That brings me towards the end of the video. Thank you so much for staying with me till the end. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have not clicked on the subscribe button, I would love it even more if you would click on that button. It's absolutely free, so that you can join my YouTube family. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again in my next video. Goodbye.